Interannual bumblebee abundance is driven by indirect climate effects on floral resource phenology. The focal point of this paper highlights the significant impact of climate change on the abundance and distribution of organisms worldwide. It emphasizes that such changes can affect population sizes both directly, through effects on survival and reproduction, and indirectly, by altering resource availability and species interactions. While climate change's influence on various species is a well-studied phenomenon, the authors argue that understanding the combined direct and indirect effects is crucial for predicting population responses, especially for species that are key to ecosystem functioning. The study specifically focuses on bumblebees, highlighting their functional importance as abundant and effective pollinators in natural and agricultural systems. Bumblebee populations are currently facing declines, with climate change being identified as a likely driver. The authors stress the urgency of understanding how climate affects high elevation bumblebees, especially in montane regions expected to experience extreme climate changes. The research aims to investigate the direct and indirect effects of climate on the abundance of three subalpine bumblebee species in the Rocky Mountains. By utilizing long-term data on climate, floral resources, and bee abundance, the study aims to discern whether direct or indirect effects of climate variation, specifically through changes in floral resources, are more closely linked to changes in bee abundance. The findings from this study could contribute to a better understanding of the intricate relationship between climate change, floral resource phenology, and bumblebee populations. The objective of the study is to investigate the direct and indirect effects of climate on the abundance of three subalpine bumblebee species in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, USA. The researchers aim to understand whether climate variations, including changes in temperature and phenology of floral resources, are closely linked to changes in bee abundance in recent years. Additionally, the study aims to assess how climate and floral resource variables have changed over the last 43 years, providing insights into potential future responses of flowers and bees to continued climate change. The scientific questions being answered are: what is the relative influence of direct climate effects and indirect effects through floral resources on the changes in bee abundance? And have climate and floral resource variables exhibited directional, implying potential future responses of flowers and bees to future climate change? The study hypothesizes that over the last 43 years, there has been a directional change in climate variables, for example, earlier spring snowmelt, warmer temperatures, or more frequent spring frost, and floral resource variables, which would predict future responses in bee populations. Study System and Approach: Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory, or RMBL, in Colorado, USA. There was combined data over 2009 to 2016 for direct and indirect effects on bee abundance and over 43 years for long-term trends. The bumblebee species focused on B. bifarius, B. flavifrons, and B. appositus. The response variable was annual peak abundance of worker and male bees combined. The floral resource variables were annual floral sum and number of floral days. The climate variables include the date of snowmelt and cumulative precipitation from May through July. Bee data was collected from 3 sites at 2-week intervals during the flowering season. They were identified based on distinctive color patterns, and the response variable was the annual peak abundance of each bumblebee species. There were several direct and indirect climate effects on bees between 2009 and 2016. It was observed that there was substantial variation in peak abundance of B. bifarius, B. flavifrons, and B. appositus. Variation in assemblage of flowers was also observed by the bees in annual floral sum and number of floral days. Climate variables, including snowmelt date and May through July precipitation, showed substantial variation. Piecewise SEMs revealed indirect effects of precipitation and snowmelt date on the number of floral days. Bee abundance increased with more floral days, which in turn increased with greater summer precipitation and later snowmelt dates. There was no significant directional trends observed in peak bee abundance, number of floral days, and annual floral sum for all 3 bee species over 2009 to 2016. Over 42 years, a trend for earlier snowmelt by 12 days, while May through July precipitation showed no consistent patterns. Over 43 years, the number of floral days increased for B. flavifrons floral assemblage. There was no significant directional changes in the number of floral days for B. bifarius and B. appositus. The annual floral sum did not change directionally for all three bee species plant assemblages. The total floral season length increased for B. bifarius and B. flavifrons floral assemblages. The number of days below the flower threshold, or low floral days, increased for B. bifarius and B. flavifrons floral assemblage. It was observed that the number of floral days was identified as the key driver of bumblebee abundance, and that abundance of all three bee species negatively affected by the number of low floral days. The researchers' hypothesis is supported. This research investigated the impact of climate change on the interannual abundances of three subalpine bumblebee species during the last 43 years. The research found that the temporal distribution of floral resources influenced bumblebee populations. The study found that interannual abundances of subalpine bumblebee species were indirectly influenced by climate through the temporal distribution of floral resources. Bee abundance was strongly positively related to the number of days above a lower flower threshold. In conclusion, the study underscores the critical role of climate-driven alterations in floral phenology in governing bumblebee population responses to global change. It emphasizes the need for continued long-term monitoring of bee populations to capture rare but increasingly important events, considering both extreme weather and potential indirect effects on bee populations. The evolving floral resource availability influenced by climate change can have a profound impact on bumblebee abundance and reproductive success. The findings highlight the complexity of the relationships between climate, floral resources, and pollinator populations.